Whoa. It's like a new place. Wow, this is so strange. Okay, so, hey everybody, how you doing? This is part of my celebratory Tekking101 10-year anniversary nostalgia week, whatever I'm going to call this. Pretty much just that. It's a good title. It summarizes what this is. 10 years on YouTube. I started the channel on May 29th, 2009. I had just turned 16 years old, and I am still rather flabbergasted that I made it this far. Yeah, I've decided to do a 3-part kind of little mini documentary series, not really a professional documentary, but just a 3-part series talking about the various eras of my channel and my thoughts on, you know, where I started and where I was at and where I'm right now and where I'm going and that kind of stuff. So this is going to be the first of those videos, and this is going to cover the medieval era of my channel. And medieval is actually very appropriate, not just because it's about the game that started this whole channel. That was the whole reason I started the channel, was to talk about the game Medieval for the PlayStation. So we're going to talk about that, but also medieval in the sense of just like the beginning a long time ago, because it really does, you know, it doesn't feel like, you know, just like last month or something. I can't say, it's like, wow, it feels like I just started this channel yesterday, but you know, I remember it vividly enough. I remember what inspired me to start this, and this is really where I have to begin. I can't really just start like, you know, okay, I woke up on May 29th and I decided to start a YouTube channel. I gotta tell you a little bit about the backstory of what led me to do this, and I've most certainly 100% told this story before, and I've probably, a lot of the stories that you're gonna hear throughout this little mini documentary series I've told before, whether it be in live streams or on the vlog channel over the years. I figured it's a good way just to coalesce them all into one little area, so if you just ever want to know in the future that the Tekking101 historians ever want to learn about the origin of it all, I'm just going to compile everything in this 3-part series. So I hope that I'll at least tell a story or two throughout this that you've never heard of before, even the most devout fans. But if you're new to the channel and you've only been watching me for maybe a few years or a few months or even maybe even only a few weeks, and you're interested in me and, you know, what started it all, hi, my name's Matthew Paul Crawford. I am 26 years old, and I make YouTube videos about anime, and that's basically me. So this starts in 2008, if we're gonna really start on anything major, because I wish I could get in front of this and I could tell you guys, like, oh, I've always wanted to be a filmmaker ever since I was a little lad, you know, oh, that Matthew always running around with the camera, and I did that. I think every kid did that. You know, you take the old family camera, we had this really big JVC, clunky, giant, like, brick you would have on your shoulder, and, you know, if you had a camera lying around the house, you'd make little home movies with your family and your friends, and I think every kid did that had access to a camera. And I did too, but I was never really overly interested in film. It wasn't like, oh, he was always interested in film and now he's doing YouTube. Perfect connection there. No. For most of my childhood, I had a good childhood. I had a lot of friends in the neighborhood and everything. I got picked on every now and then, but who hasn't? You know, it wasn't really anything like I looked to the future of what I wanted to do. In fact, I kind of had a conscious effort to just ignore every time someone would tell me, he's like, what do you want to do when you grow up? Because everybody always asks you that when you're a little kid. It's like, you could be like a 5-year-old kid, you could be all the way to your, like, your teenage years, like 15, 16, 17. People always ask, you know, what do you want to do when you grow up? And it's just like, I don't fucking know. I don't care about, like, dude, there are people that are asking me that. When I was a sophomore in high school, I had a class called Futures. It was this weird bullshit class. It only was around for like 1 semester, and the only reason anybody really even talked about it was because the teacher was pretty cute. She was like only like probably younger than I am now. She was like 23, 24, like right out of college, teaching this class. And the whole point of Futures was try to figure out what major you should take in college, what your career path should be, you know, and they would hand you, we only had it once a week, and they would hand you out like little forms and stuff and little worksheets, and, you know, it's supposed to determine determine your aptitude. Did anybody else have a class like that? I don't know. So if you filled it out, you'd be like, oh, you're really good at math. Maybe you should try engineering as a major. Or, oh, you're good at reading and writing. That kind of crap. And I remember taking this class when I was like 15, and I was like, lady, I don't care, because I'm looking at this like, dude, I got like 3 more years of high school left to worry about college. Like, I'm more worried about getting through high school, hanging out with my friends, and perpetually trying to get this girl to like me. Okay, I don't care about anything else about the future. And so I would just go into the class every day, and I would just fill out the sheets, and they'd be like, oh, you have an aptitude. I think it was for English, like reading and writing. You know, it's like, maybe you could be a writer. And I'm like, sure, okay. And so they would give me the English worksheets, and I'd work on that. But it's like, I didn't care about that, right? And so I went through my whole high school pretty much not thinking about my future. I knew I was going to go to a community college after I graduated. I knew that was going to happen, but beyond that, I was just like, whatever. So in 2008, when I was a sophomore going into my, I was a freshman going into a sophomore, this is when I first discovered YouTube. So who remembers dial-up internet? I realized that if you were born after 2000, you were probably way too young to really remember dial-up. But just to give you an idea of the experience of dial-up, here it is. Yeah. Imagine having to do that every single time you wanted to go on the internet. That was not an exaggeration. That was real time. Sometimes it was more than that. And sometimes you would get kicked off the internet for any stupid reason, or your internet would freeze and you'd have to do it again every single time you wanted to go online. That was what dial-up was about. So anybody that was born after that freaking mess, I applaud you. You didn't know what it was like. But anyway, point is, dial-up internet was shitty as could be, and you couldn't basically have any sort of, video player online. You couldn't do it. You couldn't watch any streaming, anything with that kind of internet. It was impossible. I remember plenty of times trying to honestly, just to load a web page would take forever. Like, you type in youtube.com, you can go and literally make yourself a peanut butter jelly sandwich and eat the whole damn thing before the time the page was actually loaded. So there's no way you could watch videos. And so 2008 was a really landmark year, because that was the year we got high-speed internet in this house. My parents had been divorced at that point. It was just me and my mom here. And my mom had no need for high-speed internet, because all she did was just, emails and stuff. But the guy in town that, supplied our internet, he's like, hey, you guys were, my first customers, or one of my first customers, so I'll upgrade you to high-speed for free. And so he did. And so I was like, okay. And then we got high-speed, and then the veil was open. It was pulled back, and I was exposed to the internet as it was. I was exposed to social media like Facebook and MySpace and Twitter. I think Twitter was around, but I don't remember anybody using Twitter until like 2009. It was probably around before then, but I don't really remember anybody talking about it until like 2009. That's when a lot of my classmates got a Twitter. But anyway, I started to watch YouTube. And really how this all started, one night I go on YouTube, and keep in mind, I knew what YouTube was at this point, but I just assumed that YouTube was a place where people upload videos of themselves being idiots. Like, hey man, watch, I'm gonna jump off this roof and then hit this trampoline and then bounce into a pool. And he does it and he lands on the trampoline. It's like, oh, I think I need to go to the hospital now. That's what I thought YouTube was. And little did I know, it's only like 90% that. I actually remember this, because my mom would watch like Oprah and like, Dateline back in the day and all this stuff, and they'd be going about like, oh, this is what's on YouTube, and I didn't have YouTube at that point. And I remember very distinctly, I have no idea what this was on the news or this was covered on some talk show my mom watched, but it was a video of a kid that his friends were literally dousing him with lighter fluid, and then they lit him on fire. And I remember distinctly watching this kid run around his freaking yard. Oh, he's on fire. And he had a pool, thank God, and he jumps in the pool. And the rest of the story was about this kid, and they showed images of him getting like burnt flesh and the skin grafts and everything. And that was like the overall tone of that story was like, you know, these are kids, you know, doing something stupid for the sake of just being popular on the internet. Now, I don't know what year this was, but I remember watching that, and I was like, oh my God, that's the kind of stuff that's on YouTube? So I finally get YouTube, and I'm like, all right, well, let's see. So one night, just, you know, I was on the internet, and I'm like, okay, I'm a big fan of Friday the 13th, the 1980s slasher movies with Jason Voorhees, you know, hockey mask dude. So I go on YouTube and I type in Friday the 13th, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe there'll be somebody talking about the movies or something. And the first result, or one of the first results, was the Angry Video Game Nerd's review of the Friday the 13th video game for the NES. Really shitty game. But if you really want to just put a pin in, like, where the interest in all this started, it was that. James Rolfe, the Angry Video Game Nerd, was, like, the first YouTuber I've ever watched. And it was through his videos that really, number one, showed me you could make YouTube into a profession. Because at that point, his channel was very successful and he was making money. He had his own website as well, but he also had his stuff on YouTube. Now, also keep in mind, I'm not privy to every piece of information at that point. So, you know, I look at this video and I see it has millions of views, and I immediately figure, oh, he has to be a multi-millionaire. James actually has come out with plenty of documentaries talking about his channel, and he had a lot of problems in early YouTube with copyright, because back then game footage now is kind of accepted. It's just there's a whole YouTube gaming and there's Twitch for that. But back in the day, you know, there was kind of a gray area there with video games. If you Let's Played or did anything like that, or just a review of a video game, anything involving game footage, some of the companies got actually upset by that and would actually try to flag your channels and take them down. And then after a while, I think they started to realize, like, hey, this is just more, you know, this is more publicity for the game when you get a famous YouTuber to Let's Play it or something. Let's Play, I don't even think was really the term that had really evolved yet. This is like 2008. So, yeah, but he had a lot of problems with the channel back then, but now it's stable, and back then I thought he was he was successful in terms of popularity, but money off of it might have been a little shaky. But I'm watching his video, and I'm laughing my ass off. I must have watched the Friday the 13th video. Like, I watched it, like, 2 times that night, came back home from school the next day, and watched it again. And then I started watching all the other stuff he did. And the other thing he showed me was, you know, this YouTube is a place where a lot of people upload a lot of stupid shit. Let's not try to pretend that there's not a mountain load of useless, just time-consuming drivel on this website. But that's okay though, because there's a bunch of really awesome stuff too. But for everything that's like really good and entertaining, there's always like a video of just, I'm gonna pick my nose for 10 minutes. Yeah, I'm sure. You know what? You know what? Now that I said that, I haven't checked. But I'm sure there's an entire niche of YouTubers that just do that. So you know what? That's the power of YouTube. More power to you. Hope you have success. I remember watching a channel once which was nothing but watching ice cream melt on a sidewalk. So you know what? If you found your audience, that's all that matters. So I'm watching James and I'm thinking, man, this guy, he has a show. He has a character. He's doing stuff with actors, and he's all this clever editing and this music, and it's like, this is awesome. It's like a show. And then after James, I started to discover a bunch of other creators. I was rather fortunate because in the fall of 2008, when I first was exposed to YouTube, this was right around the same time, and maybe some old schools will remember this. This was at the moment when the Angry Video Game Nerd and the Nostalgia Critic, Doug Walker, were having this huge feud. Not a real feud, although back then people genuinely did think it was real, where they would make videos back and forth and be like, you stole my video idea, no, you, and sometimes they got so over the top and ridiculous, but I still remember people thinking, like, this was like a genuine feud. Like, they really hated each other, and it was just building and building, and they were just making videos against each other, and this lasted for like months until finally October 10th, 2008. I think I can remember that date exactly. Did not look it up, but this was a moment that was big. It was the final battle, which wasn't the final battle, but it was the final battle between Doug Walker, the Nostalgia Critic, and James Rolfe, the Angry Video Game Nerd. And I remember watching that when it first went live, and it was phenomenally funny, and I just loved it, and it was great. And through that crossover, I was exposed to thatguywiththeglasses.com, which was Doug's own website, and all the creators that were on there. Now, before I go any further, because I imagine a few of you are probably already typing it away, or at least thinking about it, the whole scandal that happened with Channel Awesome, which is what That Guy with the Glasses eventually changed over to, channelawesome.com, the whole scandal with, hashtag change the channel and all that. I actually already talked about that. I made a video about that on the vlog channel. I'll link that there to my thoughts on it. Not really the point to talk about it here, because we'll be here forever if that's the case. But suffice it to say, I, of course, didn't even, consider all this stuff was going on behind the scenes. I was 15 years old at this point. I had this very just pie-eyed dream that, like, oh, all these people, all these content creators on That Guy with the Glasses, they're doing all these videos, and they're funny, and they're super successful, and they're super popular, and they must be making super bank. Because I'm 15. At this point, my parents are even telling me, like, hey, Matt, what do you want to do when you graduate? What do you want to do with your career? And it was around this point where I was like, it would be kind of nice if I could just do this. And I would show my parents, Doug and James's videos, eventually, like, Lewis Lovehog, who's Linkara, the comic book reviewer. Spoonie was a huge inspiration for me. If we're going to pick three people that were the biggest inspirations on my channel, just in general, James Rolfe, Doug Walker, Noah Antweiler, who's the Spoonie one. There was a bunch of other creators as well. Brad Jones, who's the Cinema Snob. He's later. I didn't start watching him until 2010, 2011. Brad still does stuff, and I just actually watched a video of his earlier today. He comes out with his new reviews every Monday, and he reviews all these old exploitation and just straight up porn parodies, and he's great. I love Brad. And he's coming out with a movie soon, so I'm supporting of him on Patreon and everything. He was a great inspiration. But the three at the very, very beginning, Doug, James, and Noah. And Noah is a whole other... James and Doug, I'm glad, are still putting out regular content all the time. Doug still does the Nostalgia Critic. James still does the Angry Video Game Nerd. And that is something that I'm blown away by, because that's even longer than 10 years. James did his 10-year anniversary thing in 2000, and I think the anniversary of the Nerd was like 04. The anniversary of the channel, Cinemassacre YouTube channel, was 06. And I remember he did like a 10-year anniversary of that. So they've been at this for going on 13 years or 14, 15 years longer than that. I don't watch every Nostalgia Critic that Doug puts out, because he puts out one like every 2 weeks. If it's a movie that I'm interested in or I've seen before, I'll check it out. But every time James drops a new AVGN, which he just did like a few days ago, the Pepsi Man video, I watch that. That was still doing it, still going at it. And I go back and watch their back catalog of stuff all the time. Noah, for those of you that don't know, he doesn't really do reviews anymore. He specialized in like movies and video game reviews and some of the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life, and it was a real shame he doesn't really do that anymore. If you want a full story on him and why he doesn't really put out content anymore and the whole story, there's a slew of things that were going on. There were health problems with him and everything. There's a video, Down the Rabbit Hole, by a channel by Frederick Knudsen, also amazing YouTube channel. I just discovered that channel last year. But that video will pretty much bring you up to speed on everything that went up with Noah. But despite everything that happened with him, and there was a thing with his Patreon and all that, the dude still put out great content. They all did. And, I actually just checked on this just to be sure, and it was kind of funny because I'm recording this video right now. It's May 13th when I'm recording this. And I went back and checked on Noah's website, thespoonieexperiment.com, and the last real movie or video game review he did, it was a movie review, that was like his style of reviewing, was released on May 13th, 2016. So that's very cosmically weird. It's 3 years ago exactly. And he every once in a while he'll put out a live stream, he'll do a Let's Play, or do a vlog kind of style video. Very rarely. It's usually just, he'll do, honestly, like a batch of like live streams and then disappear, and then like 6 months later do another batch of live streams and just disappear. But you know what? I mean, if he were to just come out and just start up making videos again, I would watch it. I wouldn't even be like, hey, he doesn't have to make a big deal out of it. Just like, hey, I'm back making videos. Here you go. Watch. And I'm like, cool, yeah. But, you know, if he doesn't do it, just wanted to thank him. I don't know if he's going to see this, probably not, but I just wanted to thank him for helping me because, yeah, that was a big inspiration. I want to thank Doug, James, and Noah for that. I was like, man, Matt, you have a huge boner for those guys. I do! And I still, all of them, go back and watch their back catalogs all the time. I'm rewatching Noah's Counter Monkey series right now, which was all about Dungeons and Dragons, and that's got me interested in Dungeons and Dragons. And so, yeah, that was the inspiration. So I should probably talk about like actually me filming videos. I'm like, oh, I got through all of that in only 21 minutes. That's awesome. That's great. Usually I thought it would take 40 minutes for the intro, then we get to the actual thing. So, after watching those guys for 3-4 months, I started to realize something. I came to an idea that nobody else had ever come to. I was the first person to come up with this idea. The fun fact, it was, hey, these guys are not, like, Hollywood actors. These aren't, like, celebrities. I mean, they're internet celebrities, but they're not, like, you know, they're not, like, freaking Johnny Depp or whatever. They're not even, like, television celebrities. These are just people in their houses filming themselves talk about movies or video games, and obviously there's more to it than that, but at the essence, that's what I saw them, and I'm like, hey, if they can do it, why can't I? And I wasn't the only one to come up with that idea. Like, there were so many people back in the day that made parody channels, sometimes overtly, sometimes not so much. Like, sometimes they just came out and said, like, yeah, I remember there was a guy by the name of the Happy Video Game Nerd, which just obvious, like, hey, he's the angry video game nerd, I'm gonna be the happy video game nerd. And then there's other people that were just, like, doing reviews, maybe in the same style Doug did reviews, but they weren't, like, overly, they didn't actually mention Doug, they just kind of did them in the same style and just hoped nobody would notice. Everybody noticed. And it's like, it makes sense. It's like, here's a guy, like, James's character is like, I'm gonna get really mad and just string a whole thing of profanities, and that's how I got successful doing this channel. It wouldn't surprise a lot of people. It's like, hey, I can curse and yell at video games too. So that's what they started to do. And that's kind of what I did. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, you know, I started the channel because without any direct, you know, reference to them, because it's like, hey, these are the people that inspired you. You know, when you make videos, even if you're not even really conscious of it, you're probably going to take cues from them, you know? So I looked at it like, this is how YouTube videos are to work. If you want to be successful on this platform, let me tell you, you gotta make videos about video games, and you gotta yell at those video games, you gotta make fun of every little detail, you gotta swear. That's how you make an actual video game, and that's how you make a successful YouTube channel, dang nabbit. So that's what I did. Now, the problem is, you know, I'm not James Rolfe. I think let's start off with that. That's kind of a thing. And that's the thing, any piece of advice for all aspiring YouTubers out there, whatever you do, it has to be you. And I know this is going to sound corny as shit, and it is, but coming from me, I think it works, is you have to put the you in YouTube. Okay, I'm going to slap myself for that one. That's bad. But no, that's legit though. That's real. You can't make a successful YouTube channel by just blatantly ripping off other people. It's okay to take inspiration from others. It's okay to be like, hey, I really liked watching Markiplier's Let's Plays. I'm gonna do Let's Plays, you know, because he did Let's Plays, I'm gonna do Let's Plays, but I'm gonna do it my way. That's how you gotta do it, alright? You can't just be like, alright, I'm gonna put on a suit and tie and review movies the exact same way the Nostalgia Critic does it, and I'm gonna get just as successful. I mean, at the end of the day, YouTube is kind of a place that really has, like, there's really nothing that's like, oh, that can definitely never get popular, because I think we've all seen YouTube channels that you just don't get, they just don't click with you, and yet they're somehow really successful. So maybe they will, but I'm going to say not to. I'm going to say you got to come into your own, whoever that may be, and that's something that I can't teach, nobody can teach. You have to do it yourself, okay? You have to find the thing that you're good at, find something you know a lot about, and maybe work on your public speech a little bit. That always helps, and just practice. In fact, that's a good segue into what I'm going to talk about. So I took the family camera, and this is it. This is the same camera. This is a Sony Handycam. This was a refurbished one we had, and it uses tapes. See, you can open it with the tapes there. And this was used just to record for vacations and stuff. It was our camera. And I grabbed this, and I put it in my room, and I started filming my very first videos. Videos that I never uploaded to YouTube, and I looked all over the place to find because they were filmed on tape. So I was like, there has to be one of these left. And I literally looked all over my house, guys. I went in my attic. I went into the basement. I'm looking all over for these tapes. These tapes, if they're in this house, they're gone. They're just destroyed, or there was a flood in the basement last year. Maybe we threw them out with that, because those tapes were like the very first videos I ever filmed, period. And what they were just me sitting down on the edge of my bed just talking about stuff I loved, so like movies, video games, like, you know, and I never uploaded them. I just filmed them, and I would... This is going to sound so stupid. I filmed myself talking about movies and then watched myself talking about the movies, but never uploaded me talking about movies. But you know what it was? It was at least good practice. I can't say it was for naught, because it did give me at least a little bit of confidence and screen presence in front of the camera, which is also very important. And so, though, at the time I was doing that, this was like January of 2009, and I was doing it, and I was like, oh, maybe I should upload this to YouTube. I'm like, oh, no. I could never upload this to YouTube. I could never. I'm just shy. But eventually, I really don't remember exactly what inspired me to do it. In fact, the first video I filmed, I've seen it plenty of times, because it's rather hilarious just in how bad it is. Hello,
everyone. Today we're going to do a video game review. Yay! Okay, this game was the first ever, actual game I ever played. I was kind of growing up in that phase just when we were getting out of the old fashioned, like, Super Nintendo.
Yeah, you know, and everybody's, by the way, everybody's first YouTube video is shit. You know, everybody's is. You know, in fact, a lot of channels that get really successful, what they do is, if their beginning videos are kind of like shitty or cringy or whatever, they'll actually go back and delete them. And just to like, oh yeah, no, my channel started here, not here. I don't do that, and not everybody does that, but, you know, I don't do that because I feel like I want to know where I came from. I want my first videos to always be there on YouTube. And so that's why I keep them up, to remember, like, this is when I started. And in fact, if I ever have to give, like, a speech or something where I'm talking to a crowd about YouTube, like maybe if I'm ever at a con, you know, doing a panel or something about YouTube, I'm just gonna literally just walk on stage and then just play, like, the first minute of that, my first video, and then afterwards I'm just gonna be like, okay, I somehow managed to pull a career out of that. There's hope for all of us, you know, like, there is, like, you know, that was, everybody's first video sucks. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I had just gotten my braces put on a few weeks prior to that, and I was just basically like, hey, okay, what am I going to do a video of? I'm going to do a video of a video game, but I can't actually record the video game because I don't have a capture card and I don't know about emulators, and even if I did, my computer back then would not have been able to handle that stuff. And it was just, okay, so instead of filming the television, I'll film myself and just talk about the game as you can hear it in the background. Really shitty concept for a video, you know, but that's really what started the YouTube career, you know, and Medievil was the game I chose because I really loved this game, but the problem was I wasn't doing it what I was really thinking. I was basically just like, okay, what I have to do is I have to punish the game. I have to beat the crap out of the game, in that everything that happens in the game, I have to criticize it and yell at it, because that's what James does, right? He's the angry video game nerd. He yells at the game and stuff. And even James, though, James does not criticize every little thing about the game. He doesn't nitpick that much, and that's what I was doing.
All for the freaking logo? They have this big, huge cinematic, thinking, oh my god, is this so freaking epic? And then it just builds up to the logo. That's it. Sony Computer Entertainment. big cinematic for a logo. Ooh, a history page.
I was criticizing the logo. Like, you pop in this game and it's like the logo pops up, you know, like Sony or Cambridge Studios, that's who makes Medieval. And I'd be like, it's like, they expect us to believe anything! Look how elaborate that intro was! Like, and it's bad. It's just, everything about it is bad. Some people come to me and say, oh, it wasn't that bad. Oh no, it was shit. It was shit. So, I continued doing that. I continued making videos about Medieval. And like I said, the first video, I don't remember that. I don't remember ever, like, having a conscious idea, like something big in my life. Honestly, I'll tell you what it probably was. It was probably like my freshman year. My sophomore year was coming to an end. And I didn't have anything to do over the summer because I didn't have a job at this point. So I just decided I'm going to work on videos all summer, and that's what I did.
So colorful, and the music is so depressing. You should notice that in a lot of these levels, everything's like, the music's like really, really sad. I don't even use the shield. If you play this game enough, you won't use the shields that much. You'll just take out your biggest weapon and just kill them. Whatever you do not do what I just did and break one of those skull and crossbones chests. They will be exceedingly helpful after you kill this guy, after you wake up this guy. Everyone, but it'll also knock you into the f***ing lava! Well, I'm sure of that. I'm being sarcastic. Well, that's basically how this level goes. Thanks for watching. What the... Stupid fuse box. Wait, who the hell are you? Ow! Oh my god! Oh my god! Ow! Ah! Night vision. Oh my god, I'm in a quarantine movie.
Silence!
Oh, thank God. I mean, I'm talking about the version with the original Japanese one, not the 4Kids one. I can make a separate video. I can make 2 separate videos on all the different reasons. I can make a whole series of why I hate the 4Kids dub of that show, but if you're gonna watch the show, it's either Funimation or Japanese version. I really don't have a problem with Japanese version. I've watched so much Japanese anime over the past few years. It doesn't even bother me anymore that it's a different language. Oh, screw this! Fucking suck! Okay, that kind of stuff.
And then going back to school for my junior year, you know, this was really a time when I started to tell my classmates about what I did, because at this point I only had like 30 subscribers, like not very many subscribers, and you know, I was like, but I had a few, and I remember a few of them. Kieran Binya was one of my very first subscribers, and I treated him more like a pen pal at the time. I would actually contact him and like talk to him over Facebook and stuff, and he was like one of my first like online friends, probably my first online friend. And there was another one by the name of Hannon21. She always commented on stuff, and It's Bugs Bunny Lad. There was a guy named It's Bugs Bunny Lad. Probably all of these channels are defunct at this point. But yeah, those were the 3 I always remember back in those days, and they would just be like, good job, good videos. Like, I would literally just put out a video, it would get like they didn't have thumbs up, thumbs down back then, they had the star system, which I actually think was kind of cooler. So they would give it like 1 5-star rating and then 1 comment, and it would be like 20 views, and I'd be like, yay! Like if a video cracked 100, I'd be like, what? 100 views? That's incredible! You know, and you know, I remember I'd be waiting days and days and days for a comment. Like, I would upload a video and I'd wait like 3 or 4 days for someone to comment, and sometimes the comment would be positive, like, hey, good job. Other times it would be like, you know, just stay off YouTube, you know, like they would just curse me out or whatever. So that wasn't a bad thing either, because that was my first introduction to internet trolls, and just people that were just get on and be like, your voice is annoying, You know, and just be like, okay, well, you know. And it hurt my feelings back then, as it does when anyone's not accustomed to it. But it's good to do that early on, though. You want to build a thick skin about that, because that stuff's going to happen no matter who you are. And in my opinion, don't try to fight it. If you're not going to win. You're not going to win against those kind of things. And it's not even worth fighting, so don't even bother. But yeah, so when I went back to school, starting my junior year in the fall of 2009, I, was confident enough to start showing my friends or start telling my actual school friends about it. I did a series of videos in October of 2009. I was deviating a little bit from Medieval because I also wanted to do, James does his Monster Madness on his channel. It's like all 31 days of October, he would review a different monster movie each day, and he doesn't do it anymore. He stopped after the 10th season, but it was a great series, and he did it, so I wanted to do it too. And instead of doing 31 days, I only did the 13 days of Halloween, or Horroween, or whatever the hell I called it. And this was when I started really getting into sketches, implementing sketches and like dressing up as silly characters. This is where the mask guy made his introduction. I just, put a hood, it was a blanket. I put an old blanket over my freaking head in a hockey mask and just, walked around and just, ooh, I'm a different person now.
That's what you get not locking the door last time I was here.
Hi, it is you! Crazy generic mask-wearing guy who I still don't know the name of, but you tied me up in the last few episodes with a freaking extension cord which I'm still recovering through nightmares.
Yes! And I have returned with an even more terrifying plan than before. It is much more convoluted and pointless in the outcome, but still very clever and ingenious to watch.
I remember showing those to my friends at school, and it's funny because I remember them laughing, and they're looking back, they were most likely laughing at me, not with me, but even then I kind of liked it. I kind of liked the idea that they're laughing at anything I put out. Like, I evoked a reaction. That's the thing that was important. I would be significantly more like upset if they sat there and watched my video and there was like nothing. There was just math, this is boring, like, but they were laughing at me, with me, don't care, they were laughing, that was what mattered. So I did that, and I had to take down some of the 13 Nights, like the original ones. They formed like a story arc, and I had to, like, the last two I had to remove because of music claims, and they're gone forever. I don't have any of those remaining, and that really does suck, because I remember filming them, and they were pretty funny. But there's a few that are up, so you can get the general idea of what that was all about. So, after that, after the 13 Nights of Horror or whatever, I finished up Medieval, and then I started Medieval 2, the sequel game, right after. But right around, about a year into my YouTube channel, so I started in May of 2009, right around May of 2010, or maybe a little bit earlier than that, I think I finished Medieval 2 up in April. I didn't know what to do. I finished everything I did, and I felt like, I'll be honest with you, I felt like I failed at the YouTube thing, This is something that's a lot more prevalent now, I think, because there's so many more YouTubers now than there were back then, a lot of more bigger YouTubers. A lot of, especially little kids, will watch, like, huge YouTubers like PewDiePie and everybody, and they'll think, I could be just as big as this. I could make a super successful, 70, 80, I think 90 million subscribers, PewDiePie has, because they're little kids, and they're just like, we could do this too. And they try, and if they don't see immediate results within maybe a few months, they get disheartened and they go away. And so back then I was like, I'm watching James and Doug and Noah, and I'm thinking, I'm going to do a YouTube channel, and I don't know, maybe I'll be a natural at this. Maybe I'll be just as big as them. And so a whole year goes by, which when your time goes by a lot faster the older you get. I wish somebody would have told me that back when I was in middle school. So by the time I'm freaking, when I'm 15, 16, it's going by pretty slow. So a year for me back then, that's a lot of time. So a year goes by, and it's like I have 50 subs, maybe, not even that. And my videos are getting like less than 100 views per video. I felt like I'm not even close. I'm looking at that in the mountain, like look at all these channels that have hundreds of thousands of subscribers. There's no way I could ever hope to approach that. It's like they're a mountain, and I literally just like stepped like on a rock. I'm just like on a little rock, and there's a mountain in front of me. Like there's no way I can get that popular. It's just not going to happen. So I feel like I failed. And so after I did Medieval 2, after I finished this, I really didn't do much of else in 2010. I remember I filmed a lot of shitty vlogs that year. I deleted all of them. Just like, seriously, vlogs kind of like this. In fact, I think I was sitting on the couch on one of them. I was just like, how's your July going, guys? Mine's going good. Like that kind of stupid shit. So I deleted all that crap. You know, and I was really thinking about deleting the channel at that point, honestly. 2010, I was thinking like, oh, I tried, you know, I gave it a shot. I gave the YouTube game a shot. No one can say I didn't try. I tried, I put myself out there, and it's been a whole year. If you're not successful in a year, then what else? I was also very lucky because I did this while I was in high school, and I didn't have any other real obligations other than high school. I didn't have a job. I didn't have to worry about paying bills. I didn't have to worry about putting gas in my car. I didn't even drive yet. I didn't get my license until I was 17. So I'm like, oh wait, what? I would have been 17 in 2000. Yeah, 2010 is when I got my license. Yeah. But yeah, no, I had time is the point. You know, trying to start a YouTube channel, and this is a story I know I haven't told anybody. Recently, I was in McDonald's, and there's an old guy that works kind of like the fryer, and he's probably like in his 50s or 60s, and he's a nice guy, and I was talking to him, and you know, he used to come into Dollar Tree all the time when I worked there, and he's like, you know, oh, you quit Dollar Tree? And I'm like, yeah, I did. He's like, what are you doing now? And I'm like, I just do YouTube, man. Just that pays the bills. That's what I keep doing, as long as it keeps, you know, providing. And he's like, you know, I've always wanted to get into that. So I was sitting there bullshitting with this guy working the fryer at freaking McDonald's talking about YouTube. And he's like, how do you get started? And I told him, I was like, well, really, just get a YouTube channel and then find something that you're knowledgeable about, something you can talk about, and then there's a niche somewhere out there, I guarantee you. There's a niche somewhere for whatever you want to talk about. My one friend from work, his name was Rick. He was an assistant manager. He's a really cool dude. I was bullshitting with him one night while I was working, and we were talking YouTube, and I asked him, I said, Rick, what do you like to do? Any hobbies you like? Anything? I guarantee you there's going to be a niche, a little section on YouTube. And he's like, you know, I like to make model trains. And I'm like, that's perfect. And sure enough, you go on YouTube, there's a whole little community. It's not huge, but a little community on making model trains and shit. You can make videos about that. You can go on and connect with other people in that community. And that's the great thing about YouTube, right? It's pretty much anything you can think of. Even stuff that is literally dirt boring, there is probably some niche for it. That's the weird thing about YouTube. It doesn't really follow a lot of logic in some ways, but that's how it is. So, yeah, I mean, like, I felt like, though, I just didn't have anything. I tried and I failed. So I'm going to just maybe delete it. Of course, I didn't do that, but I considered it. The only other thing in 2010 I did that was any significance was the zombie film. And that's still up on the channel, too. I'm glad I didn't delete that. In fact, I might make like a copy of that. I should download it, because a lot of my older stuff exists only on YouTube. I don't have the original like raw files for that. So I should really go down and like download all of my old Medieval reviews and just keep them on my hard drive to have, you know, in case anything ever happens, you know. So the zombie film, it was just something stupid I filmed with my friends one October weekend when we were in, actually we were seniors at this point in the fall of 2010.
You know where he is? Oh, right on. Alright, I'll go check that way and make... Oh, crap. Jeez. Not a very good sign, is it? No. Oh, yeah, it leads down that way. Yeah, they make it easier in the movies to get a headshot. Hey. I'm out! Got my rifle up ahead! Do it!
But beyond that, I didn't really do anything else in 2010. And after the zombie film, I pretty much just left the channel, didn't upload anything, didn't really do anything about it. But I didn't stop being interested in video. I continued working with my friends and filming just stupid sketches when we were at my friend's house hanging out. We would always hang out at my friend's house every weekend. And we would just run around or maybe play airsoft, and I would record it, and just I would take the videos and edit them and then just play them back, but only for my friends. And there's a lot of just like stupid in-jokes and everything, and just very rudimentary editing skills, but I was learning.
Back on. Hi! Just like in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, where they kill the guy in the estate and they burn the corpses.
Good idea!
Let's get some gasoline. You Are you serious? You were never my friend to begin with. Goodbye, Roach. Stream close up! Bonk, 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 bonk. Okay, you know what? I'm taking this guy out with plunger. Move away.
Oh, and in 2010 we also, and I talked about this recently, but in 2010 something else that we did, and this ties back to the Spoony one, Noah, is he did a contest on his website. He was talking about one of the games in the Ultima series, Ultima 3 Exodus, and in that game, it's like an RPG, it is an RPG, and you would fight against the grass as an enemy. Like, you would literally walk on the screen and be like, grass attacks, 5 damage or whatever, and you have to fight the grass. And so he did this contest where he's like, everybody go out and make videos fighting the grass, and then I'll, look through all of them and pick winners and stuff. And the winners didn't get money or anything, but it was just like, oh my god, this is a chance to be recognized by Noah. And of course, we're kids, we're teenagers, and we're like, let's do this. And so somehow, I don't know how, I managed to convince my friends to all hang out at my one friend's house that weekend and to film this grass battle. And we had a blast doing it.
Gentlemen, I won't lie to you. In the following mission, many of you will die. What? The enemy is too great, it's simply inevitable. If you have any loved ones, I suggest you call them.
Wait a minute, you said we were supposed to come down here to play Modern Warfare 2. What's this crap about dying?
Dude, I'm not attacking fucking grass.
Yeah, fuck this.
I'll have the machines one here. Fuck.
I'll pay each $20.
Okay. How am I supposed to attack the grass?
And it's up on one of my side channels. I'll put a link to it here in the card, or in the description below. Check one of the two. And you go watch it. But yeah, man, that was crazy. It was me, my friend Eric helped me out with that. Eric, he's the one in the video. He's wearing like the brown shirt, and he has like the hatchet. He's like hitting the ground with the hatchet. Him and me were always trying to do like YouTube videos, and he had a channel as well. I think that one is definitely defunct. I even edited a few videos for him back then.
All right, now we're gonna go out, and I'm gonna give you the instructions of what to do. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Let's go. Oh, my shoe. Alright, this is so pathetic. Fuck you, get up.
And me and him were like, oh, we're going to do YouTube stuff. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I wasn't very successful on my own, but maybe if me and Eric team up, maybe we can make videos. He's married now, I think. He has a kid and everything. I haven't talked to him in years. I used to work with him at Dollar Tree, too. He worked there for a few years. But yeah, great guy. And I remember, this is another story I can tell you. So one day, me and Eric, we were like spitballing an idea for a video. And we came up with it. And I can't remember what the plot was. But we managed to get like 8 or 9 people all together at my one friend's house, and we were in the basement where we shot the grass battle, and we were going to film this video, and this was not like the grass battle where we were just kind of having fun. Like, we were trying to do this in a structured way, and nobody wanted to do anything. Like, they were more interested in like, hey man, let's not do this stupid video, let's just hang out and play Airsoft or play Call of Duty or whatever. And I remember there was a scene where Eric, he had this brand new HD like Handycam, like Sony Handycam, brand new. And so he was trying to film 2 people, in a scene, and there were 2 guys behind Eric that just would not shut up. And I was holding the light or something, and Eric was like, guys, could you shut up? I'm trying to film this. And he goes back to filming it, and he gets like 10 seconds into the scene, and then they start talking again, and he literally takes this Sony Handycam, and he like almost like chucks it at the ground, and I had to grab his arm, I dropped the light, and I'm like, no! Don't break the very expensive HD camera, Eric. And it was just very frustrating. We basically just had to like, fine, screw this, we're not doing anything, I guess. and because like that was like a very frustrating day because nobody wanted to film anything, you know, or they just wanted to like, can't we just do whatever and just have fun with it? So that was a story. So we did that in 2010. We filmed the grass battle, and me and Eric filmed a few things, and I did also the zombie movie. Was Eric in the zombie movie? No, Eric wasn't in the zombie movie. But yeah, that was that. And so I just filmed some more stupid stuff with my friends, and this is where I'm probably going to cut off this video. That's probably the best place to stop this, because the following year, 2011, that's when I graduated high school. That's when I started with my anime content, which had set me down I think I got on the proper railroad track at that point. I think I was kind of wayward, but then I got on the right track, and it's like, all right, let's move on to the future, and that's, of course, what I'm still talking about now. So the next installment of this video is at about 45 minutes. It's about as long as I figured it would be. The next installment of this is going to be about my Bleach era, talking about from 2011 to 2016, when Bleach was the dominant factor of my channel, and the other stuff, the other projects I worked on there, and the thing that really revitalized the channel and helped me get to where I am now. So yeah, that's done for part one. I knew these were going to be long, even longer than my standard videos. I knew it, but you know, it's nice to talk about this stuff. It's nice to get it all out, you know, because it's nostalgia and it's fun. So anyway, yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. See you back here tomorrow for part 2. Later.